Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into game day, folks. It is game day here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got some Thursday night football tonight, so get your Amazon ready, get your Amazon Prime. But you don't have to have Amazon Prime. Just head on over to the patio, folks. It's going to be a big old party there tonight. Bills fans will be there, so Bucs fans, you come too and just overwhelm them. It'll be like being in the stadium. Super fun place to hang out at the patio tonight. So head on down there. I'll be working my my lightning duties tonight, trying to keep an eye on the Bucs game as well, and then getting back home late at night, watching the whole game. So tomorrow we may have a couple bags under the eyes, but that's okay. It's worth it. So good morning to all of you. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, all over our FanStream Sports website, wherever you want to watch us. Don't forget to subscribe, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. We'll say hi to you, IndyCar Tim, this morning from our Dallas affiliate. What's up with you? How are you?
Good morning, JP. Are you guys excited for some Thursday night Bills and Bucs? It's going to be the highlight of my night. I'm not going to lie.
I'm quite frankly a little scared because I've seen some really ugly routes on Thursday night football, like really ugly. And yeah. I'm not getting a great vibe from the Bucs right now. I just don't get it. You know, the locker room feel after the game was one of more like despair and searching and like we're kind of lost, don't know where, like this is heading south. But, the NFL is such a week-to-week league, and so much is dependent on injuries and preparations. And with Thursday night games, especially when you're going on the road, it's just, guys are sore. You got to have something really good happen to you early on in the game, right. If you're the road team, just to kind of get your energy up. And because if things go south early, it's just like, get me the hell out of here, get me home. I'm going to get my mini buy on and let's go. And for the Bucs, they probably circled this on the calendar as a loss anyway. But then again, now this is why this league is such a week-to-week league, right? Everything is dependent on injuries, and this Bills team is really, really banged up. They've been banged up, and they've lost 2 of their last 3. Their only win being just an ugly win over the Giants. Remember that one, 14-9. That was just pathetic. And it's funny because you think of the Bills, you think of Josh Allen, you think that this is the number 1 contender with the Chiefs in the AFC. It's like, yeah, it's not the same team. Matt Milano is gone. Tre'Davious White is gone. This defense is a shell of what it used to be. You take out a couple of Ed Oliver's hurting along the defensive line. They've got some guys that are banged up along the defensive line. Dawson Knox, their tight end, is not playing. Their 2 tight ends are not playing tonight. So, they've got a lot of issues. And Josh Allen has not been great. And he's not great against pressure. I was watching Dan Orlovsky do a tape breakdown of some of the Bucs exotics that Bowles is so good at. And Josh Allen has not been great against that. So, they're going to, if they can get a couple turnovers early and turn them into points, for God's sakes. They got 3 turnovers last week and didn't turn any of them into points. You got to get those turnovers and then turn them into points. The Bucs, I believe, are top 5 in turnover margin this year, and they're number 1 in turnovers per drive. Mm-hmm. They're also the worst team on third down defense, allowing 50% conversion, which is just awful. So there's so many, even though you're 6 games in, right, you still, the sample size on some of these numbers is not really good enough to say, oh, this is a great scoring defense, because I'm not so sure it is. They're getting turnovers. They're getting turnovers in the red zone, which is nice. But does that tell you have a great red zone defense? You got to see more. So, this is one of these games that's almost impossible to handicap, but I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole in the betting line. But can I see the Bucs sneaking in there and getting a win? Yeah, because the Bills probably circled this as a W on there, and they just want to get to the bye, get to their mini bye and kind of regroup with all the injuries they had. And there's got to be a feeling in that locker room of like, man, we've lost Milano. We've lost Tre'Davious White, the 2 best players on our defense. Are we really going to challenge for anything? And we've been beating our head against this wall, this Chiefs wall for how many years now? Like maybe this is just the end of our era. So they've got to have some real doubts in their head too. So this game to me is a complete coin flip. I wouldn't be surprised with any any outcome. Bucs win, Bills blowout, Bucs blow. I wouldn't be surprised with anything tonight because it's such a weird juxtaposition for both teams. So, the good news is I would have counted this without question as a loss before the season. We all did. You go through the schedule.
Yeah.
A short week going to Buffalo. You got no shot. They're a great team. But, this is just totally different situation than anyone anticipated. So they got life. The Bucs, this is going to be a great test of where their culture is right now, I think, because I think on paper, they've got an opportunity. The Bills are not playing at a high level right now. And they will certainly overlook the Buccaneers because they'll look at the tape and go, this team's not very good. We just got to show up and win. So you got a couple of things that can be in your favor here tonight. So will this team, circle the wagons and Antoine Winfield Jr. after the game last week, challenged the team. Baker Mayfield told us this in his presser this week that he challenged the team. Now, this is one of the most mild-mannered, quiet guys you'll ever see in your life. And for him to have to step up and do that speaks volumes. But will they follow him? Will they go out there and put out an effort that is, that models what that guy's putting out every game? And he's been playing tremendous football, and you can just see his effort level is just so much better than everybody else's, and that's a bad sign. Yeah. It's a really, really bad sign. So where are you culturally right now? Are you that team that Brady said, has the worst game day effort that he's seen? That's what he said last year. Terrible indictment of your coaching staff and your team in general. Or are you a team that's got a chip on its shoulder that, started 2-0, 3-1, that wants to show the rest of the league that you can do it without Tom Brady? That was kind of the narrative while they were winning. And now, and don't forget, they've played two bad matchups for them the last couple of weeks. Really good defenses and teams that can run the football and are physical. This is a bad matchup for the Buccaneers right now. Now I would look at this Buffalo team and say, with Matt Milano and Tre'Davious and all their complemented guys, that they're a physical football team, but they're not anymore. They're really not. So again, an opportunity for the Buccaneers to go out there and kind of, show us what their culture is all about. So if they show up tonight and it's piss poor and they get blown out, I think it's going to be very telling about this coaching staff and where the culture of this football team is. And if they turn it around, it's just a completely different narrative. And it's funny, Tim, because I say this every week, like for instance, if Baker Mayfield hits Rachaad White, on that second down play in the zone and he runs it in and scores and they win that game in Atlanta, well, the narrative is completely different, right? You're 4-2, you're a game and a half, 2 games up in the division. Baker, has made the play to win the game. Rachaad White is coming along. The defense is playing great and opportunistic. This is Buck football, right? But you just don't make that one play, and the narrative is completely different. The offense sucks, can't run the football. Baker's regressing. Todd Bowles is a terrible coach. I mean, the generalizations and the narratives just completely change on the outcome of one play and one decision. So the truth is obviously somewhere in between, right? It's somewhere in between. What are you expecting tonight?
If I came to the Buccaneers fans and I said, Dak Prescott's the quarterback of the Bills, and that's who you're facing tonight, I don't think anybody'd be real scared, right? Well, that's who the Bills have. I'm telling you right now, Josh Allen is Dak Prescott. I am off the Josh Allen train. I have been for a couple of years. He's just like Dak Prescott, started out on fire. First couple of years in the league, master of everything quarterback-wise. The dude doesn't have it, man. And I know they're having questions in Buffalo right now about him. He's a turnover machine, just like Dak Prescott.
Yep.
He makes terrible decisions in crucial game situations, just like Dak Prescott. Von Miller is back. Does anybody know that? No, because he's not tearing it up right now. I mean, he's playing about 50% of the defensive snaps the last 2 or 3 weeks since he's been back. He's not making any impacts. I don't think he's registering any stats. So I do an article every week for allaggies.com talking about Aggies in the NFL, right? So what they've done, of course, we cover like Myles Garrett, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk. And every time I go to the stat line for Von Miller, I'm like, really? No tackles this week, huh?
Did he
All
play?
right.
No.
Did he even play? And so, dude, I am not scared of the Bills at all.
Yeah.
And not even at home. I'm picking the Bucs to win this game. There's no plus, especially with the spread. The spread's like 9.5 or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's ridiculous. Yeah.
I wouldn't be scared at all.
That's the public undervaluing the Bucs, which they typically always do, and overvaluing the Bills. I mean, there's great value in that number right there. I'm not, I wouldn't touch the game because it's Thursday night and it's just crazy things happen. But as I mentioned earlier this week, and James said this as well, it is about coach. Thursday nights are a lot about coaching. How do you get your team ready? How do you, the quick film study. James says to me Thursday night, the game's about coaching. Bucs are not good at that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's their game plans have not been outstanding, and I would say that's a deficiency for the Buccaneers. But we'll see tonight. We'll see if they can turn that around. Your Bowles again is a good defensive coordinator, but I don't know how much time he takes away from that to be the head coach. It seems the defenses were better, and some personnel was better too when he was the defensive coordinator. We don't forget about that. JPP makes a difference, and Ndamukong Suh makes a difference. Some of those other veteran players who are playing well at the time make a huge difference. They don't, you're replacing them with JTS and Anthony Nelson and guys that just have not proven to be playmakers or run stuffers or anything like that. So, yeah, this team is about what I thought it was. It's about a little above average, I think. They can be pretty good in certain matchups. But, and James asked me here, what is a good matchup? Well, neophyte coaches and teams that aren't very physical. That's a good matchup for the Bucs. And that's, when you look at some of the teams they've beaten, Dennis Allen and the Saints, I wouldn't say that's a great coaching staff at all. A decent roster, but not a great coaching staff. And I think the Bucs certainly outcoached them in that game. They're not a team, I think, that's going to scheme you to death. But at least we haven't seen that yet. So we'll see. I think they got a shot tonight. Absolutely. But I'd like to see him make some plays early on defensively. And, Chase Edmonds has been activated, which it's like, whoa, wow. Chase Edmonds is like, well, for the Bucs, that could be a difference maker. That could be a difference maker. Because we haven't seen a running back be able to find, some of these zone creases, outside zone, inside zone that they've been trying to run. And in the limited duty that Chase Edmonds had, he had a couple of good carries. So maybe he will be a difference maker. Running back is, as we said early in this week, it's a talent position. Yeah. It's a vision position. It's, how do you set guys up and break tackles? You're a running back. You got to make that first guy miss. That's your job, right? Their job is to give you a hole. Your job is to make the first guy miss. And we haven't seen a lot of that from the Bucs running backs. So they got to find some room to run. The Bills defense against the runs giving up 128 yards a game. They're 23rd in the league. So, this isn't the Lions run defense. This isn't some of these run defenses they faced recently. So that makes a difference. That makes a difference. So we'll see.
Yeah. And Chase Edmonds, a full participant in practice all week too, right? So he's 100%. Allegedly. Yeah. So I think that'll make a difference with the Bucs running game for sure. Baker.
How many touches will he get?
It's all that he can handle is what he should get.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to start with him.
Yeah. I mean, what do you got to lose? They can't get any worse in terms of the overall numbers. No. TJC is up early this morning, our football savant. He says from the Buffalo side, Tampa's number 2 in allowing explosive plays and number 23 in pressure on quarterbacks. They do a good job on the wide receiver 1, but 2 and 3 eat. Gabe Davis probably goes on his over. That's not a bad prop bet right there, to be quite honest. And yeah, it's interesting. You talk about the Buccaneers pressure packages, but last week Desmond Ridder had all day to throw. They tend to get some sacks here and there, but overall, we saw Jared Goff just sit in the pocket and eat all game long. The completion percentage is, I think, worst in the league. The Bucs defense, and that tells you they're not getting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Yeah. So things got to change tonight in a lot of different departments. Will they? I don't know. Again, it's Thursday night football. Who the hell knows? It's a crapshoot. I'm not a big fan of Thursday night football. Never have. James says 9.5 is a fair spread in Buffalo. JP, it could be a 3-point game, and Buffalo gets a late TD or a pick six. Well, anything can happen, but I just think just in general for value purposes, I think 9.5 is a little much. But again, Buffalo's lost 2 of their last 3, and they beat the Giants by 5. You know, in an ugly game. So, you know, the Bucs can't do that. They're not as good as the Giants. I think they're better than the Giants. So we'll see about that. All right. The Bolts also have a game tonight, and the San Jose Sharks come to town after losing to the Panthers the other night. They're 0-5-1 on the season. So what do you do if you're the Lightning? Well, you go out and you take care of your business. You do what you're supposed to do. You concentrate on your schemes, your systems, your defensive system. It'll be interesting to see if Johansson is in goal tonight, Jonas Johansson, given that your opponent is not the best. Now, he would have lots of rest because they don't play again until Monday night. So I would actually think Johansson's going to be in there because he actually leads the league in saves right now because he's seen a lot of shots and he's playing really, really well. So if I'm Cooper, I don't mess around with anything. He's had a couple days, it's not a back-to-back, so why not go back to Johansson? I would expect him to play tonight. By the way, Brian Bradley's going to join us at 11:15. I didn't even set up the show. Need to do that. 11:15 from the morning skate, so we'll find out who'll be in goal tonight. Pat Burnham is going to be traveling tomorrow to the FSU Wake game, so we got him on today at 10:45. So we'll talk Noles and Wake Forest. Scott Carter will join us for our Jeeves Law Group Florida Gator report at 11 o'clock as they head to Jacksonville for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Yeah, we say it on this show. We don't have a problem with that. Which, by the way, if you can't make it up to Jacksonville, the patio will be having the world's largest outdoor cocktail party as well, with the Tampa Gator Club watching the game on Saturday. So I just get a cot and put it down, or better yet, get one of those hammocks that you put between the trees there between the palm trees at the patio. Just stay there all weekend. Thursday night football tonight. Friday night, we got the $2,500 Halloween contest. Cash prize, $1,500 to the first place costume. I'll be judging that. So bring your bribes. I will be taking bribes. And then Saturday, you got the Gator game. And then Sunday, NFL football. They got the NFL ticket, all the games there. So bring your hammock, set it up at the patio, stay the whole weekend. All right. Also, so we got Bolts tonight. Take care of your business. We'll talk to Brian Bradley. Roland Lazenby is going to join us. He is a world famous author who has done biographies on Michael Jordan and some of the most famous NBA players. He has one out on Irvin Magic Johnson, who is one of my heroes growing up, still one of my favorite players of all time. So we'll talk to him about Magic Johnson and probably some old school NBA versus new school NBA. Should be an interesting conversation. We'll chat with him at 11:30. So Lonnie Wilkins brings this to my attention here today that St. Pete City Council's meeting today to discuss the new stadium per the Tampa Bay Times. I don't know if you saw the article yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk too much about it, but the more details are coming out in the funding of this stadium. And man, I wish I was part of this development project because they are absolutely getting the sweetheart deal of a lifetime. Absolutely zero, at least I saw in there, no rent, no cost of stadium. They literally will have a rent-free stadium. They're supposed to pay $700 million towards the stadium and cost overruns. Meanwhile, the public part of this, and this is just the city's portion of it, is going to be over $600 million total, city and county, over $1.2 billion with interest. So far cry from the $600 million total of public money that we were sold at the press conference. So it's the real numbers are double that. 5,000 tickets annually. The Rays are supposed to provide to underprivileged folks, which is nothing for them. Those are tickets they're not going to sell anyway. So that's a nothing. And they're getting, at least from what I can understand from the article, the value of the land was appraised at over $330 million. And they're purchasing the land for less than $100 million.
Wow.
So if you were a developer and you were coming in to develop this property, if you were Heinz alone, right? you would pay over $330 million. That's the appraised value. The sale value would probably be much higher than that.
Yep.
But since the Hines hooked up with the Rays and Mayor Welch threw out the old RFPs and started over, and where Hines was probably paying a hell of a lot more for the acreage than they would have with the Rays, now they're paying $93 million for the property, which is unbelievable. So that's another $200 million in Stu's pocket, basically in value. There's some other things in there that don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I can just tell you that in the conversations I've had with other politicians, basically, I'll just say that have been through this process with the Rays, it was jaw-dropping. It was absolutely jaw-dropping was the words I heard as to what the city is giving Stu Sternberg and the Hines Group to redevelop Tropicana Field. This is not a shock to me. It doesn't, and for me, look, it's not my money. I don't care. I'm not a St. Pete resident. I'm not a Pinellas County resident. I don't care. It's not my money. I still, as a baseball fan, object vehemently to putting the stadium there. I think it's a boondoggle. I think Stu Sternberg is going to sell the team as soon as he gets his deal done, get the hell out of town, because he knows in a couple of years when the newness wears off, nobody's going to that stadium. He knows that. He doesn't care because he's going to be out. He's going to take the profit now, and he'll leave the development to Hines, and Hines will, of course, Hines jump back in. Look at what they're getting here. I mean, this is a unbelievable, and certainly Hines will be paying Stu on the way out too, a handsome fee for getting this sweetheart deal for them to redevelop the Tropicana Field site. So, I mean, everything that I can see and people that know these type of things that I've talked to look at it and they say, this is very similar to what happened in Miami. Very similar to what happened in Miami. They didn't want to, quote, lose the team to Broward County where it should have been located, middle of the market. So they gave away the farm, and in Miami's case, put it in a very, very bad location where the Orange Bowl used to be, in a neighborhood surrounded by folks that don't go to the games, can't afford to go to the games. Same situation, and it became a absolute noose around the city's neck because of the cost and the interest, which again is the same thing that's going to happen in St. Petersburg. And Mayor Welch may certainly think that he's saving the Rays, but if this follows the pathway of the Miami politicians, he'll never win an election again because of what they're giving away. So again, I have no dog in the fight except for the fact that I'm a Tampa Bay baseball fan, and we're going to, for the next 25, 30 years, have a hard time getting to midweek games, all the same stuff that we've always ever, had an issue with. And people say, well, the attendance will be better. It might be markedly a little bit, but I still don't think that the culture of downtown St. Petersburg, it hasn't for 25 years, isn't suddenly going to change and fill the Trop. Even if you put up, 4,000 units there, how many of those people moving in are going to be going to games? If every one of them did, it would marginally affect the attendance, So it's not a ton of people. It's just not, it's still, a long way away from the massive fan base that would be supporting this team. And that's why, in my opinion, the Major League Baseball hasn't said squat about this. And I still don't think they're in favor. Well, I know they're not in favor of it. They want the stadium built in Tampa. And I'm still skeptical that this is going to go through. So we'll see. But they are meeting today, so we'll get hopefully some feedback from some of the politicians. And I don't know how they sell this to the people. I don't know how any of these city council members can look at this deal and say it's good for the city. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense because, these tourist tax dollars are supposed to be to bring people in from out of town. That's out of state money, out of market money, and pour it into the market. Here, the majority of the money that's going to be spent at this stadium are people who live in Hillsborough and Pinellas County and are not staying overnight. They're not putting heads in beds. That's what tourist tax is supposed to do. Attract, come up with events, renourishment of the beaches. That brings people here, right? That's what these tax dollars should be used for. For a stadium that's going to bring people from Hillsborough County, Sarasota, this area, they're not staying overnight. Now their dollars are coming here, but their dollars may come here to downtown St. Petersburg anyway. If you build something else it may come. So I don't think it's a wise return on investment. Certainly not, as opposed to building a convention center or a cruise port out by the beaches. Those are things that really bring people in. So, and again, and Thomas Casper brings this up too, which is really something that I don't think has been talked about enough, is the secrecy in which this thing has been negotiated should be an absolute red flag for everybody.
Because they're not going public with any of it, right?
Well, they hadn't until this point.
Right.
And they said they need to have shovels in the ground by March. So it tells me that they need to ramrod this thing through without much public discussion. Yeah. There's certainly not going to be a public vote on it. I think it would fail. I would like to see a poll now that the numbers are out. I would love to see the Times or someone with deep pockets, do a poll from St. Pete and Pinellas residents. Are you down with using $1.2 billion, whether it's tourist tax dollars? That money, they like to say, and they said this in Hillsborough County too, that money is for, tourist taxes, and so it's not your money. It's not, quote, tax money from the locals, which is technically true. Although, if you, rent a car for local use, or if you stay overnight, you do a staycation out at the beach, that's your money. I still have to pay the 17% tourist tax on the hotel when I go out to the beach, which a lot of us do. So that money, it's not just out of state money, by the way. And that money could be used for different things. To give, $1.2 billion to a billionaire who's going to skip town anyway and has never been a good community person, to me, is a hard political sell, a really, really hard political sell. But, that's for them to determine. I think it'll be very interesting to see what the conversation is. And there were a couple city council folks that have commented and been skeptical of this deal. So we'll see how skeptical they are. It still needs, by my count, 6 or 7 different votes at the county and city level for this to go through. So lots to be done, lots to be considered, and lots of political ramifications to be considered as well. And in this economy, spending this kind of money on a baseball stadium that's in a failed location.
I feel like somewhere down the road we may see a 30 for 30 on this if it goes too far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This whole situation.
No, listen, I'm definitely going to do a documentary on the stadium. That is going to be my coup de grace of my career. I don't care if anybody ever watches it. I will be doing a documentary on how this whole stadium deal went down. And because it's been a saga. And you want to talk about a saga? I mean, we literally started this 15 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago, and still to this day, we don't have a solution. And how many ballparks have you guys built in Arlington in that time? Literally 3, right?
Yeah, since 1972 we've had 3, but since 1994 we've had 2.
You've built 2 in the time we can't get 1 built. Yeah. I mean, because the Trop doesn't count.
We just built it right next to the old one too, so there's no being able to fight over where it's going to go. It was always going back in Arlington.
But you never had it's never really been an attendance issue, has there?
Never.
Yeah.
And Arlington, for those of you that aren't familiar with the DFW area, Arlington is literally smack dab in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth. It's an entertainment district. Our Six Flags was the first entertainment thing there, right on I-30 in the late 60s is where they built it. Then, of course, the Rangers moved in there. Their stadium was already there. They just had to expand it. So they built the new ballpark in 94 right next to the old one, tore the old one down. Then Jerry moved in, in 2009, they built Jerry World, the Death Star is what we call it locally, but of course AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
But it's a 20-minute drive from Dallas. It's a 20-minute drive from Fort Worth, and you've got 7 million people. Yeah, 7 million people all around.
Located right in the middle of the market where all the people can get to it, easy access, multiple roads. Yeah.
And what's interesting is everybody said, we don't have mass transit here we have it in Dallas. Yeah. We have it in Fort Worth. There's not like you can ride a train to go get to Arlington. Like you can ride a train to the AAC to go see the Mavericks and Stars. There's Dickies Arena where we have concerts and stuff in Fort Worth, and you can go there on a train from Fort Worth. But everybody was crying, well, there's no mass transit. Nobody's going to drive out there. That's the biggest bunch of BS. Okay, they support their teams, and it's a conveniently located stadium, which makes it easy to support your team.
Exactly.
Go figure.
Yeah,
Go figure.
shocking development. Well, damn. Wally, that's a great idea. Let's put it where the fans are, where it's easier for everybody to get to in the middle of them. Well, damn. What do you know? Yeah, we
don't have a huge body of water separating Dallas and Fort Worth either. So,
yeah, but it still doesn't take much. No. We can read a map. And, even the stupid Florida people can read a map. Well, most of us anyway.
You got GPS on your phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to answer some of the questions here. If you have any questions, comments, Bucs, Bolts related, we're going to get into college football here in a little bit. Pat Burnham's going to join us from the Osceola to talk FSU and their playoff chances. Scott Carter will be talking Gators, Georgia. We'll be talking to Brian Bradley from the Morning Skate to talk a little Bolts, and Roland Lazenby. Biography on Urban Magic Johnson. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've had any issues with your car being totaled, any hurricane damage issues, they will represent you vigorously. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. And Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. You got to get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right. Chris Lugo will get you an individualized workout and nutrition plan and get your testosterone right. They do it all there at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Patio. That'll be the place to watch the games tonight. You can get the Lightning game on one TV. You can have the Bucs and the Bills on the other TV. We ain't gonna lie, that's where Bills Mafia hangs out. So if you want to, I personally enjoy having the other team, there. It's people to spa with a little bit, back and forth. So,
just keep it civil, folks. Just keep it
civil. Well, we always say that it's a game, folks.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, Tim, have you seen the rash of videos?
Yeah.
There was one. It was at Cowboy Stadium because there were
Cowboys,
Cowboy fans.
Cowboys and Chargers. It was it. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Cowboys
the fans,
and Chargers.
that was a brawl, a beatdown. Like, how do you get to that point in your life where you and your wife or your girlfriend are getting into a full on brawl with somebody else because they're wearing the other jersey? It's an effing game, people.
I don't get it.
That's crazy.
I will say I got into one fight one time at a sports arena. It was with a Red Wings fan at a Dallas Stars playoff game in the late 90s. And let's just say I just don't drink as much as I used to at sporting events. Most of these guys are like 50 years old too that are fighting. That's what I don't get. It's not like they're kids.
Bananas. Yeah, absolutely nuts. I don't get it at all. Couple questions coming. Oh, by the way, and for the game tonight, Vita Vea is a game time decision. He's got a groin injury. For a Thursday night game, a groin injury, I got to be very doubtful that he's going to play, or at least to play extensively. And if Vita Vea can't play, they can't stop the run. They just won't be able to stop the run at all.
He's officially questionable, right? But he didn't practice all week.
Yeah, just limited participation. So, and if you notice at all, when teams are gashing the Bucs, it's usually when number 50 is on the sideline, and then they bring him in, at the end of towards the red zone to kind of shut that down. And it's funny how it shuts down pretty damn quick. The one guy can make that big of a difference. But when you're, 6'4", 350 and you're immovable and you know how to play the run, it's a big deal. And the guy that they bring in really doesn't. So it's a huge drop off. So if he can't play tonight, that's going to be a tough sledding for the Bucs to stop the run. And if they can't stop the run, look out. I want to get to some of the questions and comments here. This one, shout out to Longo for making it back to the World Series on TV. They kept putting him over his leadership and helping the young players. What a concept. Dude cost nothing. Listen, I was, Nick Geddes was hitting me up all preseason. Let's get Longo in here. I'm like, we're a young and building team. We don't need to bring in any retreads for sentimental value. But, I was hoping that they would bring in some, a couple of bats that were younger with more pop that had some veteran presence, but they never did that. So, yeah, in hindsight now, Longo would have been better than having no bats and no veteran leadership at all. So it didn't turn out too well. Fun conversation question for you, JP. Do you need to be efficient at running the football for play action to work? I don't think so. I think the, it's all how you sequence plays. And I think you can be a pass first team and still have play action work, because if you're a pass first team, then it helps your running game, because obviously they're trying to take away the pass. And then you're, second down, if you're getting, 5-6 yards with a quick, hitter pass play, and now you're 2nd and 4 instead of 2nd and 11, which is what you do where you're at when you're running the football. Well, 2nd and 11, play action ain't working. So, because, play action doesn't work when you can't run the football and you're 2nd and 11. So if you're 2nd and 4, play action works, because now you can run or pass, right? So, yeah, and I think this is where the identity has to come in here. And I think Baker kind of gave it away a little bit yesterday when he said, look, we're a pass-first team. And that's what they've become, because they can't run the football. And their strength is in their receiving core and a somewhat veteran quarterback. So better than what you're doing in the run game. So, yes. I think that you don't necessarily have to run the ball 35 times for play action to work. To me, it's more about sequencing and what your down and distance is. And you can stay ahead of the chains. Everything works better, right? Everything works better.
Are we sure they're not missing Leonard Fournette in some way? I keep asking myself that question.
Well, he's just so fat and slow to the hole. I mean,
I can relate to that.
You give me playoff Lenny from 2021? Yeah, we're missing him. But the guy that was here last year, no. No, he's always had issues with motivation, which is why nobody else picked him up. You know,
Right.
It's not like if people are banging down his door. They put on the tape from last year, and oh Jesus, it's like when the time that guy gets to the line, you could go get a beer and be back. No, thank you. We're good.
I mean, even Buffalo had an interest in him, and then they turned him away, I think, before he even worked out for him.
When he showed up, as Rick
Just
Stroud eloquently said, two donuts shy of 260.
Skip a hamburger now and then.
When he shows up and, he's got that belly hanging out over it's not very impressive in the workout. James says, I just don't understand why MLB isn't getting involved, JP. They know there are local owners who want the Rays in Tampa. Why would MLB allow teams to keep paying Rays luxury tax revenue? I don't get it, James. Here's the only thing I can say. I think maybe an MLB knows what I think is happening, which is, look, Stu's already secured the development rights, whether he sells the team or not. So he's got the deal with Hines. Hines is going to be able to develop this, whether he puts a stadium there or not, because he got the development rights without having to guarantee that he puts a stadium there. Like, man, why would you do that if you're Mayor Welch? Well, because you plan on giving away the store, and who knows, what he's getting in return. To me, Major League Baseball is saying, all right, so you're going to sell the team. You're just using this, you're just playing St. Pete to get the biggest, because I can tell you this, and I've told you this before, there are two groups that are bidding for the team, and neither one of those groups wants the stadium in St. Petersburg. I know that for a fact. So could he be, using this as leverage to get the best price from these two guys, saying, look, if you don't pay me 1.8, 1.9 billion, for this team, I'm going to go ahead and just build this stadium in St. Petersburg. So, and then if you really want the team, I mean, that's a great way to leverage the best price, isn't it? And if Major League Baseball knows that these guys coming in are going to pay, once they pay that, are going to turn to Tampa to build the stadium, then Major League Baseball doesn't care how much Stu gets, but they'll assist them. And if it means getting a stadium in Tampa, then Major League Baseball will be fine with it. So they may be just sitting back, waiting to see if the sale goes through, and then this new ownership group turned to Tampa. That's the only. But we know this: they haven't jumped up and supported the St. Pete Stadium idea, have they? Commissioner hasn't been here. Commissioner hasn't said boo about this thing. So maybe that's the play. Maybe they're just okay, because Major League Baseball wants Stu to sell also because of the lawsuit. Major League Baseball is not going to go through a lawsuit. They're not doing it. That is without question not happening. So they're either going to force him to settle, which the partners don't want a settlement, and part of the settlement, they want him out. So they're holding all the cards right now. Like, yeah, we'll settle. He's got to go. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that still point towards this not getting done. So
if I lived in Tampa and I had hair, I'd be pulling my hair out right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. I know people are tired of hearing about it, but some people want to hear about it. So, Lee and Senosa says the Yucks are toast tonight. I'll be watching the Bulls. You will be after the first quarter, probably. You're right. Lonnie
the Bulls play tonight?
They got the Sharks coming in, the 0-5-1 Sharks. So
I was going to say they got a shot tonight.
Yeah, they should get that W. After the creamsicle, hey, what's the best jersey in Tampa Bay sports history? Ooh.
Current one?
No, it said in sports history.
Not Tampa history, right?
Do the Vipers get a vote? The XFL, the green and yellow.
Dude, those were great.
Those were kind of sweet.
I covered that XFL, man. Yeah, those were great.
I'm trying to remember what was the green, orange and green. It was FAMU colors.
I like the Bolts current uniforms, man. I really like the Lightning uniforms. I like their colors.
They're classic, yeah. Well, the Devil people will say the Devil Rays. They love those old,
the original
multicolored. Yeah.
And they wear those still from time to time. I've seen them.
Yeah. Lonnie, fat and slow to the hole, aren't we all?
Yes, we are, Lonnie. I got 6 kids to prove. Oh, wait, that'd be the opposite. That I know of.
Oh, my God. Thomas says there's $50 million going to local black businesses for fair equity. That's quite an incentive, and going to the churches. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this deal, man, that don't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I'm not that doesn't, but there's $50 million that the Rays have to give back in community, that they're getting all these allowances for, that in community something, which, could be them throwing a party for, the local politicians that gave them this deal, right? And that'll go towards that. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. All right, let's talk some college football with our good friend Pat Burnham from the Osceola Rivals Network as FSU heads up to beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where the leaves are changing, and Pat Burnham gets to go this weekend. I am so jealous, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I could tell that you're really jealous by your text last night that said, "Hey, I've given you 15 minutes today. Make it snappy.
Make it snappy, bro."
So I know how you feel about this game. We spent 30 minutes talking about Duke last week. So.
That's right. Well, when we get to talk about it more, because it turned out pretty well. And we saw a lot of improvement, I thought, from the Seminoles, especially on the defensive end. That was a hell of a performance defensively. I know Riley Leonard was not 100%, but still, that's exactly what you needed. They beat him up, got him out of the game, and for the most part, we only gave up. If it wasn't for the offense, they probably wouldn't have given up any points at all.
Yeah, well, listen, back in the old days, you could talk about taking somebody out of the game because of physicality and all that, and you hated to see Riley Leonard go out the way he did on a face mask. But listen,
it was bad.
The defense did shut it down in the second half. They gave up 144 yards in the first half. Did not look very good. In fact, I think they were a little bit in shock that Duke's offensive line was as good. I mean, they were rolling FSU's defensive line off the ball early. We said last week on the show, FSU was going to have to match Duke's intensity for the entirety of the game, and ultimately that's what it took. It was a 4-quarter game, and then we saw the Jordan Travis we've all been waiting to see. They let him run. On that 96-yard drive, he had 40 yards on his own, on his legs. Design runs or scrambles, whatever they were, but break glass in case of emergency and break number 13 out. And that's what they did, and that was the difference in the ball game. Was one quarterback let loose, and the other quarterback got hurt and went off the field. And listen, they could see Riley Leonard again in the ACC championship game. I don't think Duke's going to make it that far. They got Louisville this week. But listen, Florida State won the most important game on their schedule. It was against a ranked team. They need to look good doing it, and they did it going away in the second half. So you beat the ranked team. The optics of it look good. Listen, Duke is a very, very good football team with Riley Leonard. They're not so much when they don't have that kid.
And special teams played a big role in this, after the pick six to get that run back from Deuce Spann where he wasn't even touched. That was a huge play in the game. Talk a little bit about Mike Norvell and his special teams.
Well, listen, if you go to their practice, and obviously Mike is gracious enough to allow the press in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the season, and we get to see about every practice in the preseason, every spring practice, and he and John Pappy just do a great job of emphasizing special teams. Mike's highly involved. He's not sitting over there watching, and there's only a matter of time when you have these big games. Special teams do matter. Whoever makes the biggest play in the special teams gives themselves an advantage, and we saw Florida State make the best play on special teams in that ball game with Deuce Spann's run. And listen, it was quite impressive. I don't know what was more impressive, watching him take it from one side of the field to the other on 100 yards, or watching Braden Fisk almost catch up with him as he ran down the field.
He can run
to the end zone. So, but yeah, listen, Mike and John and that staff do a great job with the special teams. It's it's cliche to say that most teams I think every team works on it, but
right.
Listen, they stop. It's not like the old school where you did offense, defense, and then special teams at the end of practice. Mike and his staff blended into the middle of practice. They go from offense to special teams, back to the offensive and defensive drills, back to special teams. So it is an important component, as we all know, and they certainly won the special teams fight on Saturday night.
Pat, I've had issues with Mike Norvell, the way he manages games, and going forward on fourth down from your own 30-something or 40-something.
It was like 36.
36. That's what I thought. In a game like this, that seemed really out of place, especially for a team that is not the Philadelphia Eagles automatic push on fourth down. This is not a team that's had great success, getting that 1 yard at times. So that seemed really, really out of place. The group text lit up on that one for me. I don't know about you. What was the feeling?
I was in the press box. I was, listen, I called it last week in Takeaway Tuesday. I called it fourth and Norvell. This week in this week in Takeaway Tuesday, I called it 4th and whatever. You know what? He is who he is. He's going to be who he is. Mike is Mike. Doesn't mean you have to like that about Mike, but that's what, listen, he's been aggressive since he got here. Didn't make any sense to put your defense in a situation where it could go down or your team in a position to go down 2 scores, which is what it did. It got lucky in the fact that it got out of there with a field goal as opposed to a touchdown. But listen, I know he says the analytics are what he's reading, and the analytics told him to do that. And he made a point earlier in the week on Monday saying, well, I want to give my offense the best chance it can, every available opportunity. Well, and make them as good as they can be. Well, every coach wants their offense to be successful. Give them that's just part, but yeah. I don't think you do it in that part of the game. A, it's deep in your territory. B, FSU was not winning the battles up front. You go back to the next 4th and 1, which they actually played on their side of the field. That got blown up by Duke's defensive line. Yep. I don't mind that as much because you're on your side of the field.
Yeah, of course.
Take your chances with a defense that's played well of late. I get that one, but the first one, I don't. But listen, he's going to do it, and no harm, no foul. I guess is how we're going to go with this. But the way I look at it, if you're going to make those decisions, JP, it's similar to when a player decides he's going to freelance, right? If you're a coach and your player freelances and he makes the play, you're like, boy, he's got great football instincts. And if he doesn't make the play, you're pissed at him and you're taking him out of the ball game and dressing him down in the film room the next day. I think when coaches make these decisions, we can call it, Mark Salva and I have a lot of discussions about whether my issues with 4th down attempts are revisionist history. No, I said in the press box, I cannot believe they're going for it. And of course, and where the other one did not bother me, but listen, I guess the good news is it did not come back to bite him. I think that aggressiveness and using the analytic is great, but my contention has been since we started seeing this happen that awareness is just as important as being aggressive. And I think you've got to be more aware of where you are on the field and what the nature of what is going on the field. Because the analytic can't tell you that Bless Harris is getting blown up by Dwayne Carter.
Right, exactly.
The analytic does not know that. So, listen, but here's the deal, and he's going to do it. He's going to do it on Saturday in Winston-Salem.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. When you're playing against an overmatched team, that's okay. When you're playing against a team that's ranked 16th and, defensively and offensively are pretty damn good on both sides of the ball in the trenches, and you don't have a decided advantage, it's early in the game, you're already in a hole. Wait, come on.
Well, here's the other thing, JP. You've got one of the best punters in all of college football.
Then there's that. Yes.
He could very easily have pinned them inside the 20, the 10. We've seen him do it all year.
Yeah.
You got a better chance of getting the ball back in better field position if you punt the ball.
With first down.
Yeah, and force a 3 and out. So, listen, I said on Tuesday and Takeaway Tuesday that I'm done complaining about it until next Tuesday.
Exactly. I hear you.
And then I'll start the whole thing again. But listen, he's going to do it. And listen, as long as it doesn't come back to bite Florida State, you can't complain about it too much, but doesn't mean you have to agree with it.
Yep.
It has obviously they're 7-0. Mike has won
doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, he's won 17 out of his last 20. So it's hard to complain about that. And listen, if you're gonna break down and be critical, listen, there's critical analysis that's good and bad, right? And that to me,
I think it's fair.
Yeah, that was
more than fair.
Yeah, I do too. But look, listen, Mike Elko's 4th down decision later in the game caused a 10-point swing.
Yes.
Mike Norvell's cost a 3-point swing. I didn't agree with either of them. We saw James Franklin do it in Ohio State. The same thing Mike did. It cost them.
Stupid.
We saw Arizona State do it against Washington. Now, granted, their field goal would have given them, I think, a 5-point lead. But still, you extend your lead. But anyway, it doesn't seem to work as much as it doesn't. So I guess it was a bad day for 4th downs for Duke, Arizona State, and Ohio State. Better for Florida State.
Pat, there's a lot of attention nationally around Florida State right now, and rightfully so. Number 4 in the country, 7-0. Looking ahead a little bit to the playoffs, of course, stay undefeated, and you have to be in, right? There's no question with the one-loss teams in the SEC. that Florida State would come in if they're undefeated. How's the feeling around there about that? Looking ahead at the schedule, how does everybody feel about that?
Well, listen, I think no matter what happens, I think that your Big Ten champion is going to be in, your SEC champion is going to be in. So now you're down to 2 spots, right? And so right now you've got five undefeated teams, and obviously Michigan or Ohio State's going to have at least one more loss,
right?
Because they play each other, and that they may get beat before that. But listen, you got Washington, FSU, UGA, Washington, Oklahoma, Michigan, or Michigan State. Those are your 5 undefeateds, right? So you've got Washington, who has got right now 4 wins over ranked teams.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Oklahoma, who has just 1 win over, and that's as of this week's rankings. And you have Florida State, that's got 2 ranked wins, including an SEC team. And then I still think that Clemson still has to count for something, even though they're not ranked. But there's the schedule that Florida State has played, I think, is going to end up being a little bit more impressive to the committee than Oklahoma. So if it were to stay where you had 5 unranked teams, I think Florida State is in, Oklahoma's out.
Agree 100%.
I think it's going to be more 1-loss teams, and so those, and we'll have to analyze where those losses came and what happened.
Alabama's the one that scares me. If
exactly.
If they were to end up with 1 loss, beat Georgia in this SEC championship game, then you got Georgia with 1. Let's assume Georgia's undefeated in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then it creates a whole nother ball of wax altogether, because whether it's SEC bias, whether it's reality of the fact that Alabama has been one of the best teams in college football for the last 15 years. Nick's been there 17, 18 years now. But listen, I think it gets fascinating after that. But my breakdown was just off the fact that there are 5 undefeated teams, are going to be a chance to be 5 undefeated teams at the end of the year. And how does that play out? Now, obviously, if one of these teams were to get knocked off in the next 2-3 weeks, it changes the formula for the college football playoff committee. But I don't see how Florida State goes undefeated and doesn't get in, even if all these other teams go undefeated. So that would be my, I guess, not really argument, but that would be my points of.
Well, this may be an impossible request, but can you give me 1 minute on Wake Forest? Can you give me 1 minute?
Listen, they do what they do.
Got to make way for the Gator guy too.
Yeah,
bad salt in the wound. I got to make room for the Gator guy.
They're disciplined. They're going to do what they do. They're not gonna make a ton of mistakes, but they're not just they're not a great football team. They don't have Sam Hartman at quarterback. They don't have explosive. They don't have an A.T. Perry at receiver. They give up too many big plays on defense. They're 68th in pass plays, giving up over 10 yards, 100th in pass plays, giving off over 20. That does not bode well when you're going to see Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson in that bunch. They don't make a lot of big plays themselves. They're going to run the ball. They like to run the ball inside a ton. I think out of the 255 run plays, PFF has graded 105 have been running the A or B gaps. When you're going against Braden Fisk and Josh Farmer, that's probably not a good thing too. So the longer I got into Wake Forest, the better I feel about this game, and maybe I think I should take a blanket and a pillow up to Snuggy Hill and get me a second half nap in. But
head to Smoky Mountain National Park, or I'll go up to Boone. It's going to be beautiful.
The Noles roll, baby. I think the Noles roll to number 8.
All right. And you guys will be doing a post game show, I'm sure. Where can everybody find that?
Yeah, well, you can go to the Osceola YouTube channel to catch our first impressions show, which is right after the game. It's me and former FSU offensive lineman Mark Salva. Sometimes JP joins us if he's got the freedom in his schedule. But
I might be able to jump in this week. It's a nooner.
Yeah. Right, yeah. I'll definitely shoot you the link. But you can go to the Osceola YouTube channel, go to floridastate.rivals.com or theosceola.com to check us out. Takeaway Tuesdays there, practice reports, recruiting reports, and I'm getting ready to send my scouting report in. So we'll have all that there for you. Guys, have a great weekend.
You too. Have a great trip, Pat. It's going to be great. Beautiful up there.
Yep.
All right. We will take a quick break. When we come back, as promised, Scott Carter will join us from the FloridaGators.com. It's our Jeeves Law Group Gator Report coming up next. 3 minutes away. Stay with us.
Any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. Only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at The Patio, that beautiful inside bar at 421 South McDill, where the Tampa Gator Club meets to watch the game. They will be having the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, since they're not allowed to have that in Jacksonville anymore. They'll do it at the Patio in South Tampa. So come on down and join them. Drink specials, and of course it'll be full of Gator fans to watch them hopefully beat up on them Georgia dogs.
Are we supposed to pretend college kids don't drink?
I don't.
That's the whole point with that.
What reality world would that be in? My God,
Like,
I think is that why they do it? Oh, we can't have alcohol at the Florida Georgia game.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Stupid stuff.
I don't know.
Let's chat with our good friend Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. It's the Jeeves Law Report, Gator Report. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend? As you get ready to head up to Jacksonville, always a fun time, right?
Yeah, it is. It's always my favorite game on the schedule, and it's always going to be the world's largest outdoor cocktail party to me. I know the schools got away from that about, 15, 20 years ago. But, all you need to do is pull up to Jacksonville on Saturday afternoon, and I think you'll see plenty of cocktails.
Yeah, it's really cut down on the drinking since they changed the name, hasn't it? Really?
I understand what they're trying to do, but, hey, once a tradition like that has started, there's no turning it back, fellas.
Yep, absolutely. That's right. That's right. And it's one of those unique games where, it's half and half in the stadium. And I've been as a fan a couple of times, and I could tell you from my perspective as a fan that I've not seen anything like that. It's truly unique, and it sounds whatever, somebody's cheering on every play. So it's loud like every single play. It's nonstop energy. And that's what I always remember about it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that yesterday, about just the uniqueness of this game.
Yeah.
And you're right. He said the one thing his first time he couldn't believe, like you just said, every play there's noise. It's never a quiet stadium.
Yeah.
And that is unique, and that's why it's always been my favorite game. I mean, it's just so rare you can actually get a stadium to truly be half and half. And what you hope for is that it's a really good game, and both sides have a lot to stay noisy about for 4 quarters. And I think that's the big question around this one. Can the Gators hang there with the Bulldogs, who come in, they've won 24 in a row, won the last 2 national titles. So it's going to take a big effort from Florida, but I don't look at this one as needing a miracle, maybe as I did the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very different game than we had thought at the beginning of the season, right? Because, frankly, I would say Graham Mertz has outplayed Carson Beck. I think he's been, and certainly statistically, you would look at that, completing 76% of his passes, went for 423 last week in that big win over South Carolina. But Georgia's still a 14.5-point favorite. That seems a little big to me, considering Brock Bowers is not playing and this Georgia team has not been that dominant. What are your thoughts on the spread? And has that had any led to any type of edge for Florida being kind of dogged like this, if I can use that word?
Yeah, I think with their mindset, it's kind of what they expected. I mean, I don't know if they expected 14, 15 points, but I think that's just really where the two programs are. And I think the key to this game, guys, is going to be the Florida offense against Georgia's defense. Georgia's defense, leads the SEC in all the major statistical categories. They're ranked 5th nationally. Florida's offense, has kind of been a work in progress. It's looked better and better. Had their best game against South Carolina a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's all going to start with Graham Mertz. We talked a lot about him, guys, about him not costing the Gators anything. He's done nothing to lose games, and we saw him do some things to win the game up at South Carolina with those 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives, that great pass to Ricky Pearsall to cap the comeback. And I think he's just going to have to continue to play like that for 4 quarters against Georgia, because Florida is going to have to beat them. I don't think Georgia's going to beat themselves even without Brock Bowers. I think that defense is just too good. I think Florida's offense has to find a way to keep that ball away from Georgia, and they've been really good at that this year. They're in the top, I think, 5 in time of possession, but it's easier said than done against Georgia's defense.
Scott, you talk about the offense versus the defense, time of possession, the field position game. I feel like Florida does really well with the field position game. The punter's great, nailing the defense, backed up on their own side of the field quite a bit. I don't see, this is still Georgia. I get it, but this is not the defense of Georgia past, I don't feel like. I feel like they're vulnerable. I don't see a very good pass rush very often from them. I don't see a lot of takeaways like they've had before, and I feel like with the offense of Florida, there's a chance here for Florida to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree totally with your take there. I mean, I think that's why, I've looked at this game the last couple of years, and you just knew Florida, even last year with Anthony Richardson, you knew they were going to have to do something just almost like a miracle performance to pull it off. This year, I think it's an evenly, more evenly matchup. You look at what you're talking about there with Georgia's defense. I don't see those dominant playmakers like they've had the last couple of matchups. They're still very good. They're still very sound. And, Kirby Smart's going to have a very good game plan. But I think this Gators team is more equipped to handle that than the past couple. And it starts with Graham Mertz. He'll be making, I think, guys, his 41st career start. It's going to be the first in the Florida-Georgia rivalry. But this guy's played in Wisconsin, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan. He's been in front of 100,000 fans before. So he's managed everything, I think, that Billy Napier has asked of him in running the offense. And now it's that second level. Napier talked about it this week. Now you've got to put all the areas together that they flashed in at times, put them all together at the same time and see if they can come out with a win. And again, it starts with Graham Mertz and just being able to get the ball downfield and, also have help from the running game. But I expect this game, I just see him having to make some plays for Florida to win in the passing game and getting complimentary work from the running game. Whereas most games this year, I felt the running game could dictate it. But I just see them having to pass the ball against Georgia.
Scott Carter joining us here from FloridaGators.com. It's the Jeeves Law Group Gator Report. The Bulldogs are number one in the nation in third down defense. Florida only converts about 33%. There to me lies the game. Can Florida scheme better? Because third down is so much about coaching and finding those weaknesses and being able to exploit that in the key situation. I really feel like this is where this game's going to be won and lost, because as you mentioned, if the Gators can possess the ball, and that means converting third downs, you got a chance. So how do you score that matchup right there?
Well, I think it's going to be key. I mean, Billy Napier's play calling, it was scrutinized earlier in the season. Yeah. And I think it's gotten better as he's adjusted to some things, to learning his personnel better. I think trusting Mertz more to go downfield more. I think the offensive line is getting a little better continuity. They're getting Kingsley Guacam back this week, so that's big. I think some of the other parts of that unit have played better. They're probably at their healthiest they've been all year. But even, the South Carolina game, I think, showed another side. That was probably the most aggressive we've seen Napier with his play call.
Yeah.
And even the head ball coach himself, he was asked about that this week. And he says, yeah, I think that was his best game as a play caller myself. So, that's a good endorsement to have as you go into the Georgia matchup. And I just, I think this matchup is one, guys, we know in all rivalry games of this nature, there's just some more things involved. There's more emotion. There's more energy. I mean, you just see things that necessarily you don't see from other games. So there'll be a little bit of that, but essentially at its core for the Gators, they're going to have to play their best game of the season to beat Georgia. I think it's doable. I think they're trending that way. But again, you've got to go out and do it on the field. And it's a great chance. I mean, we always talk about statement games.
Yep.
Believe me, the term fits
opportunity
for Florida. It fits for Florida.
Hey, Scott, before you go, if I'm not mistaken, Florida got a couple of big wins in recruiting this past week. They picked up a 5-star defensive lineman, if I'm not mistaken. And, we kind of talked about this season. One of the, it may not be a national championship season, but you got to win enough games to keep that recruiting class together, right? And to start, challenging Georgia in that realm, because they've been the best in the SEC, best in the nation in recruiting the past 4 or 5 years. And obviously it's led to back-to-back titles. So give us a little update, not necessarily meaning, the names and heights and weights or anything, but just in general, is this class staying together? Where's it ranked, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, so far the 24 class is shaping up to be Florida's strongest in a decade. I think if you look at the national rankings, they're like in the top 3 or 4 in about every major recruiting service. And I think the 5-star they got last week, the defensive lineman from Daytona Beach Mainland, McCray, that was a big get, because while Billy Napier has been doing a lot of good things with building a class full of blue chips, we all know you've got to get 4 or 5 of those 5-stars each year if you're going to compete with Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. That's just where you have to be. So
they got to be linemen too.
They got to be big guys who make a difference in the SEC. And I think, by all indication right now, I mean, they're really where they need to be, in the best place they've been in a long time. And I met with Napier last Friday for a story before the off week that I'm writing. And, we're just talking about big picture stuff. And, I think we all know Florida's still another cycle away. And he kind of said that. He says he likes this team. He likes where they're going. They're really building something. But he says, we're still another cycle away before we can truly be back in that conversation. But you pull off a surprise against Georgia, and suddenly maybe you get a guy or two that's not in your class right now. So that's why this game's so important, guys. I mean, it's always going to be important when your main rival in your own division is also the 2-time defending national champ. So you have to eventually beat them to join them. So that's what Florida is right now.
Yep, huge opportunity this weekend. They don't come along often to take down the number 1 team and 2-time defending national champion and your most bitter rival. So, and I know that's the way the Gators are looking at it. Scott, great to chat with you. Have fun in Jacksonville. Be safe up there. You can follow him on the X Machine at Gators Scott and at FloridaGators.com. Great content there. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man, that's going to be the game of the weekend. 3:35, middle of that Saturday, right after so you got Noles at noon, Gators at 3:35, bunch of good night games as well. So going to be a good Saturday of college football for sure.
It always is, man.
Yes, it's a great time of year. We're right in the middle of it.
Dude.
Oh, this
Love
is the best.
this.
The weather here, even in Orlando and Tampa Bay is nice and cool now. We're getting a little bit of that fall weather, so
yeah.
It's fantastic. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some hockey with Brian Bradley live from the morning skate. He will join us. So stay with us. Quick break, 3 minutes. We're brought to you by Italiano Insurance, the Gold and Diamond Source, and American Mortgage Services. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Gold and Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. As we've been covering it all, Bucs and Bills tonight. College football coming up this weekend. Of course, the Bolts starting their season a couple of weeks ago and now in midstream here, and we got a 5-game homestand. Game number 4 tonight, it's the San Jose Sharks, and we head on down to Amalie Arena at the Morning Skate where our good friend Brian Bradley is, the Bolts' first All-Star and the nicest man in the Chase Club. What's up, Brian? How are you?
What's up, JP? How are you doing today? Everything's good down here. Just waiting for San Jose to come on here in about 10 minutes. Watched the Lightning in their pregame skate this morning. They look good. They look sharp. They were shooting the puck crisp. And, we're playing against San Jose tonight. I mean, they haven't won a game. I think they're 0-5-1 or something like that. So This is a game that we need to, we need to play like we did against Carolina on Tuesday night. And you know what? Then we should be good to go.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that game because I thought it was probably their best overall performance of the year, especially defensively. A big difference between the game against Toronto, where I thought they were just allowing those guys a lot of time and space, and they really clamped it down against Carolina. Only gave up 32 shots on goal, made them miss the net about 12 times. So I thought the defensive effort as a whole was much better. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure, 100% on that. I actually thought that they really did a great job in their defensive zone. I think they kind of changed some of their defensive zone coverage. From the Toronto game, I thought Toronto, when you give up 50 shots on goal, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, they had a solid game. Johansson and net was outstanding. I mean, Burbelay had a goal. Point got his first goal of the season with a great tip in. I thought it was just a great effort by the whole team. Defensively, power play looked good. Everybody was firing.
And what do you think of Johansson so far? 80 saves in the last couple of games. I believe he leads the league in saves now, or at least did the other night. He's been fantastic. Got his first shutout, and I think I saw another stat where he is 99th percentile against high danger chances, which is best in the league. It's hard to play much better than that.
Yeah, you know what? Because here's the thing. Here's a guy that he's only played 20 games in the NHL or something like that coming into the year. And a backup's Tompkin, who really hasn't played a game, was in the Swedish Hockey League last year. These guys have come in and, Johansson did exceptionally well. I mean, we just wanted, we all know we're missing Vazzy, and Vazzy is the best goalie in the NHL or the world. I mean, he'll be back sometime soon, but, you just don't know. It's like a total, you just don't know how it's going to work out. Like, are they going to make a trade? Do they need to make a trade? Do we think the goalies are good enough to get us to the hump? You can't come in and play the first 20 games of the season and be 4-16 and expect Vazzy to come back in and win 40 games in a row. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, to me, I think Johansson's played exceptionally well. He looks good in net. He looks confident in net. I mean, even against Toronto, where we lost in overtime 4-3, he was outstanding. I mean, when you're talking about giving 50 shots on goal, that can't happen. I don't even care if it's against Vazzy. They're going to score goals. But at the end of the day, we clamped it down, played a great game against Carolina. And like I said, this is a team tonight. We're playing San Jose. I mean, you know what? They're not going to make the playoffs this year. This is a game we've got to kind of keep rolling and go from there. And you know what? Put points on the board.
Brian Bradley joining us here, Lightning's first All-Star and leading scorer. Hey, Brian, I think Nick Paul has had a tremendous start to this season. On the power play, he's given him a lot of juice in front of the net. Got an even strength goal the other day. 4 goals already in 7 games. Your thoughts on how he's picked up his play early in this season?
You know what? I think both Brendan Hagel and Nick Paul have played exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I really like both their games. I think Brendan Hagel's played well, but you know what? I mean, we lost Killorn last year to Anaheim, and you know what? We had to have someone come over and take over the power play. He's did a great job. Your job on the power play is to get number 86, Nikita Kucher, off the puck, because when he gets it, he makes plays happen. So, when I see Nick Paul down low, his job is to get him the puck. He'd go to the net and bang in some rebounds, and he did exceptionally that. So he's a big body. He actually had a fight last game. That was really good to see. So, I mean, he's not afraid to mix it up, and I think his game and Brendan Hagel have been exceptionally well for the Lightning early on in the season.
Yeah, I like to say Nick Paul's kind of our poor man's Tom Wilson without the asshole in him.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, those three guys. Like if I had to pick my early favorites right now, you always look at Kucherov, and right. Point's been playing better. He's got one goal, but he needs to get more. And Hedman. But my guys right now, I'm going to go number one, Johansson, and then Brendan Hagel and Nick Paul are my three top picks for the season starting right now. Those guys have played exceptionally well.
I agree with you. And you mentioned Alex Barre-Boulet. He's 2 goals in 2 games, playing with Pointer and Kucherov. He's going to get opportunities, but you got to cash him in. In the last 2 games, he's done that.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, we talked about Point's goal, and then Barre-Boulet had the other goal and stuff like that. But it was a great play. He made a really good move coming down. But let's not take away Nick Perbix made a heck of a play.
Yeah.
He came in, he had his head up, the goalie came out, it went back to the point. Yeah, Nick could have just blasted and tried to score a goal, but you know what? Veteran, not a veteran, he's a young guy, he's only in his second year, but had his head down and put a perfect pass. Kind of reminded me back in the day of an Al McGinnis play, a Hall of Fame, where, he's shooting for your stick, and it's an easy goal. Like, that's what the forward wants. It's an easy tip. You're going to score that goal every single time. And you know what? Really, I got to give Nick Perbix a lot of credit on that one, because it was a simple goal for Barre-Boulet, but he was in the right place at the right time. Like I said, the kid can score. He scored in junior. He's tearing up the American Hockey League, Barre-Boulet, but he's got to put numbers up here to stay, because there's a lot of guys.
Ryan Bradley joining us here. So San Jose comes in tonight, and this is a game, they're not going to lose them all. They're coming off a loss to the Panthers, but you want to go out and do those things that you did on Tuesday night against Carolina, a much better team, and that's lock them down defensively. Don't give up any cheap goals, and just do what you do best. Keep that time and space to a minimum. Is that what you expect tonight?
Yeah, for sure, because, you're playing a team that really hasn't won a game. They're on a road trip. I'm not sure how long right now. They got Anthony DeClaire, who played for the Florida Panthers. They traded a lot of – they're going with a younger team and kind of building for the future right now. So I really feel that this is a game that, we should take control of. And, like when you have a team like this is young and they don't have a lot of experience, they're playing on the road. When you can get up on like 1 or 2 goals early in the game, they'll just be like, okay, let's just kind of like, hey, move on to the next city. What you don't want to do is give these guys any chance, any life where you're like, hey, give them 1 or 2 goal lead. And they're like, hey, we can play with these guys now. So, at the end of the day, this is a game. This is a must win for us. This is a team that will not make the playoffs this year. And, when you're talking about getting a little lead right now with Vazzy not being there, this is a big game for us to get pad our cushion and make sure we get this point. Because after tonight, we play Seattle Monday at home. Then we're on the road for 4 or 5 games. It'll get tough. You go Toronto, Ottawa, a whole bunch of different places.
All right, Brad's good stuff, man. We'll see you tonight in the well, it's not the Chase Club anymore. It's the Channel Club, whatever. You'll be holding court as you always do, my friend.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. We'll see you there.
You betcha, JP. Have a good one. Go Bolts. Over and out from Emily. Bye, man.
Go Bolts.
There he goes.
Yeah, he's the best. Literally, he sits up there and his lovely wife, Carrie, and all the fans come over. He takes all the pictures, does videos for people, whatever you ask him to do.
Yeah.
He is the best. He is the best. They got so many great ambassadors.
I'm sure everybody in Tampa is familiar with his career. I know he played in Tampa, finished it off there, and played a long time in Tampa. I don't know what, 7-8 years, I think, in Tampa.
Yeah.
But you starting off early in the early 80s, man, his career has been sort of an up and down roller coaster. But just go back and look at some of his antics in the NHL in the early days, man. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a hoot. Love him. I love just chatting hockey with him, watching the game with him. And when you're watching with a former player, man, it's so good because I do this with Andrew Chuck and Chief. And, because I grew up in South Florida. We had no ice rinks down there. There were no Panthers. I didn't know the game. And not till I started covering it here did I learn the game, and just listening to those guys talk. And, with the good off the record stuff, stuff where you really learn about, what the Lightning players are doing and other players. And they give you some great insight, like watching a game with former players, whatever sport it is. It's such a blessing and such a learning experience. Just shut up and listen, ask questions, shut up and listen. You might learn something. It's great stuff.
And even in the world of professional sports and professional athletes, I feel like hockey players are even a little different.
Oh yeah.
They're just wired a little bit different than any other professional athletes.
Extremely candid. and colorful in their language. I was talking with Andrew Chuck, Hall of Famer, right? The goal had the most power plays in history when he retired and held that record for a long time. And I was talking about Nick Paul, who is now that big body in front, and he was just going back and forth about this, the stories back in the day when they it's a picnic now. You can't even touch those guys, but the old days, they'd be taking the hockey stick and putting it up where it shouldn't be. Lots of in the back of the head. There's goalies that would be smacking you in the back of the head with their stick, and it was brutal out there. But he dished it out too, and but great stories from Andrew Chuck. All right, let's speaking of great stories, we're going to welcome in a best-selling author, Roland Lazenby, who has written great biographies on Michael Jordan and some of the greats in the NBA, and now has a book out called Magic: The Life of Earvin Magic Johnson. We welcome author Roland Lazenby. Good morning, Roland. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning to you guys.
Yeah. I grew up a Lakers fan, man. Showtime Lakers was just so fun to watch. And I grew up a huge Magic Johnson fan, and, got the chance early in my career to do a couple of interviews with him, which could not have been more gracious.
Wasn't that a delight?
Oh my God. I was 22 years old working in Tallahassee, and they came through on and probably the last thing he ever wanted to do. I have a picture actually on the wall here of him in literally a high school locker room doing an interview with me. And I'm just like some wide-eyed kid. He could not have been nicer. What was your experience with him, sitting down with him?
Exactly that. I started writing NBA in 1988. I'd done college basketball. I did 5 book projects with Billy Packer, but I moved. I was actually doing the Celtics stuff, Celtics Green Book.
Mm-hmm.
It was a series of these preseason guides that I got hired to do, and Pistons wanted them, and then the Lakers, and Magic was just incredible in every phase.
Mm-hmm.
He really, and I have to say that I've spent 5 years working on this, and back then everything was cassette tapes, and I was doing a lot of work, and you can't find stuff on cassette tapes. And I knew I had these great interviews with Magic, and I've been married 48 years to a great lady. During the pandemic, she digitized all my tapes.
Oh, nice!
And I suddenly found. One late night talk with Magic, he must have given me an hour just looking back in 1990 on just his confidence levels and how they changed. When I started this biography, he agreed to work with me, and it took him a while to decide that. And then he got his documentary deal, and Magic is such an absolute control freak.
Yeah.
Now, he can control so many conversations, but he's not unlike a lot of guys. Biographies are different.
Yeah.
It's not an autobiography. And so it's really what all the people around you who have encountered you think of you. Just like guys like you who have seen you sometimes only for a day or two, or somebody who's been with you for years. And so I didn't mind that he backed out. Lon Rosen, his agent and friend of many years, did more than 50 interviews. I did so many interviews with his high school coaches. It was great. He was an amazing, I'll just say this quickly. He was an amazing teenager in a very tough racial situation.
Yeah.
Lansing, Michigan in the 1970s. I was a 24-year-old varsity head coach in the mid 70s. And so I know that era. I had a lot of great kids I was able to coach. And in spending hours with his high school coaches for this project, I came to realize Magic might have been one of the most amazing teenagers.
Yeah. And one of the things about Magic is it's just not basketball, right? He has become a leading businessman and really has affected society in so many ways, not only along racial lines, but obviously with the HIV. And I remember being a young sportscaster and watching that press conference literally in tears, because at that time that was a death sentence. When he said he had HIV, I mean, we're just like, oh, and we'd never seen anything like this. This is the biggest star we'd ever seen. And he's basically coming out and telling us he's going to die. And I was floored. And obviously, the story takes a very different turn. But at that moment, I'm sure that's a big part of the book in that situation.
Yes, it is. And, that was true all over the world. Jelly Bean Bryant was in Europe with his family. And Jelly Bean had been this older, tall player out of Philly who could play like Magic. Yeah. But he did not have that special sauce that Magic had. But he was a great player. But Jelly Bean Bryant was an older player who idolized Magic. Yeah. He took Kobe at 3 years old up to Los Angeles into the locker room just to meet Magic. And so when that went down in November of 91, Jelly Bean's in Europe. He's played 8 years in Europe. He's getting ready to play his 9th year. He's there with his family. They hear that Kobe is now 13. They hear that Kobe idolizes Magic. And it's like a god in their universe has fallen out of the sky. Yeah. They rode up their lives and moved back to America. The hell with playing any more European basketball. And they needed the money. And Kobe told me he was inconsolable for 8 or 9 days. I know I was just that age when my dog got killed in my paper route. Man, there was nothing you could do that would bring me out of that. And Kobe was the same way.
Yeah.
It affected people everywhere that deeply.
Yeah. And Magic, transcending, I always love to talk about him on the court because in my experience, the thing that Magic was so smart, but he also had the ability to do anything on the basketball floor that you needed. So he would come out one night and if his cohorts were hitting their threes, if Worthy was having a great night or whatever was going on, Kareem was hitting his shots, he would just distribute. If they were off their games, he would score 40 if he needed to. If Kareem couldn't play, he'd skyhook it in the middle. He could give you anything. And he was smart enough to be able to figure out what your team needed on a given night. To me, that was the brilliance of Magic. Is that what you saw?
You just summed it up right there. Think of Game 6, 1980 finals.
Unbelievable.
And the thing he had told me a couple of times, I could do that any night.
Yeah.
But of course, that's not what that team needed. Yet when it was needed, boom, he stepped right in. And of course, everybody elevated their game that night. All of those Lakers, Jamal Wilkes had 37.
Yes.
Everybody down the line made some major contribution. And so Magic just could lift all boats. The NBA for the longest time, and this was American pro basketball, they struggled to sell tickets.
Yeah.
They were booking double headers with the Harlem Globetrotters in Madison
that.
Square Garden just so they could get people to come to the games because people loved that fun that the Globetrotters brought.
Yeah.
Well, Magic from the earliest days, the whole organic Magic, he wanted badly as a boy to be a businessman. He loved sitting in a movie theater. He was throwing no-look passes when nobody even thought of it as a 6th grader on the playground. And all of this organic Magic just came to the NBA in 1979, made a little stop for the NCAA championship.
Yeah.
Rolled right into the league. Ratings for regular season games in 79 were down 25%. His great Game 6 was on tape delay.
Yeah, exactly.
The NBA was in serious trouble, but he brought a jolt to the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He brought a jolt to Los Angeles. Larry Bird took care of the East Coast.
Yeah.
And, they just set up the grand thing. Basketball today, my book, Michael Jordan, The Life, is in 21 languages. It came out in 2014. It just came out this week in Portuguese. Now, people don't know who the hell I am. They don't give a damn. But and Kobe's in 12. Magic's already licensed in 7. The whole point of this is American pro basketball. Who would have thought this? It was not a game. I mean, there were a group of people that really loved it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it
but
was
it was not a game that was going to be celebrated all over the world. And you have to say, where else do you look? But to begin, now there are other people, obviously Larry, David Stern, Michael Jordan, on down the list, Kobe. But
Magic started. Magic and Bird started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, really, the whole thing.
Yeah. Roland, we touched on this a minute ago. JP talked about Magic's significance, I guess, these days, and more of from a business standpoint. We know, I believe, if I remember correctly, he had an involvement with some movie theaters way back in the day. Of course, his Burger King franchises. He got involved with the ownership group with the Dodgers. Now, recently, we have him involved with the Commanders. How far back? Do we know how far back that drive in him goes? You touched that he wanted to be a businessman as a kid. Does it go that far back that he had that drive to get into ownership?
Well, Peter Guber, who obviously owns a chunk of the Dodgers, a chunk of the Warriors, with the Dodgers with Magic. But Peter Guber was chairman of Sony USA in the early 90s. And he got a message from Magic Johnson that he wanted a meeting. And Magic shows up. It's two black guys. One is a really bright financial guy. One is Magic with his dream of the theaters. Sony at that time was building theaters, and they just laid out the plan. They said, look, you guys have been overlooking a market here in black neighborhoods. And Guber said, whoa. And so he got his money guys to check it. The next thing you know, that was Magic's big deal. And of course, those movie things took off. They were the top producing theaters, and he was able to sell those. They still bear his name, but out of that, the whole business thing, the array of businesses he owns today and he works at, studying and going over these deals, it was a product of that want to, as a child, of the black businessmen in Lansing that he emulated. But then he connected with Jerry Buss. I'm a Virginia Military Institute graduate, and Ron Carter played for a while with the Lakers. Jerry Buss sent Ron Carter, who went on to really nice success off the court, to Pepperdine to get his MBA. And so Buss invested in the people around him, and he absolutely loved Magic to the detriment of the chemistry of the Lakers a lot. But he invested in Magic immensely. Magic paid off in every way on that. He and Peter Guber went on to own all these different minor league baseball franchises, Dayton Dragons. They built a facility in Dayton. They've done all these things. And when Guber was invited to join the Warriors, they said, we got to get Magic involved in this. And we got to get Magic to run things. And so they went to Magic and offered him to do that. And he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He said, nope, I'm a Laker.
Loyalty. Wow.
They then hired Jerry West.
Yeah.
Jerry West was their early stroke of brilliance. He was the second choice of ownership.
How about that? That's Roland Lazenby is joining us. He wrote the book Magic, a biography of Earvin Magic Johnson. One of the things I always have in my opportunity as a reporter to interview some of the greats, I've always tried to focus on one thing, and that's what made them different, what made them great. There are some common themes, but there's always usually something a little bit different that you can take from each of the superstars, the people that have transcended their sports like Magic. Did you learn anything from him in that realm?
Yes, I did. And I learned it from the people who didn't think he could make it. I was interviewing Jerry West in Dallas in a hotel room in 1990. We were looking at a lot of things. It was over 2 days. He was looking back on Magic's career. And that's when he first admitted that he didn't think the Lakers should take Magic with the number 1 overall pick in 1979.
Really?
Yeah. He said, you loved the things you saw that Magic could do, but you just didn't know for sure that he could do it in the NBA. He had that high dribble. He had that sort of push shot.
There was no 6'8" point guards back then.
Oh, no, none of that. And, Jerry said this. He said, you can see what people can do on the floor. And this is about his observation on scouting talent that sort of hit me like a ton of bricks at the time. And I keep it in my mind all the time. He said, you can see what people can do on the floor. What you can't see is their hearts. Yeah. And the thing that distinguished Magic was he probably had the biggest heart. And the NBA is a place of some pretty big hearts.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, he probably had the biggest heart. And Dr. Jack Ramsey told me back in 2004, he said, I didn't think he could make it as a point guard in the NBA. And I was telling, people that. And we really picked Magic clean a lot his rookie year, we being Portland, Dr. Jack was telling me. And he said, but the next year we couldn't do that. Because he took everything, he identified every weakness, and he came back at it, and he just worked relentlessly on it. Billy Packer, who I said I did 5 books in the 80s, but before he passed, Billy spent a lot of time with me because he and Al McGuire, they were all over college basketball. Yeah. They called that Final Four that none of them thought Magic, would make it as a big time player in the NBA. And Billy said to me, and he didn't know what Jerry West had told me, but he said to me, we all thought we knew the formulas, and the thing we did not figure on was the size of Magic Johnson's heart.
How about that? That's a great place to leave it right there. Roland, tell everybody how they can get the book. And congratulations. I'm looking forward to getting through it myself, because he's one of my heroes, no doubt about it.
Well, I'm an idiot. It's 800 pages, but he's had such a big life. So much stuff.
There's a lot to tell.
I did 700 on Michael Jordan. So anyway, they can fight over that. But you can get it about anywhere. Now, it's published by Macmillan Celadon. Just Google.
Is it on Audible? I'm an Audible guy now.
Oh, yeah. The only bad thing, they let me read the intro. They got a JD.
Who does the book?
JD Jackson read the book. He's fantastic. The Audible is 30 hours.
That's okay.
Let me read.
I got a lot of drive time. So I'll be selecting it with my choice here coming up soon.
I just got to tell you, they let me read a few minutes of start. Just fast forward through all that.
No, I love your voice. I can listen to you talk about Magic all day long. They should have let you read it. It's fantastic. Roland, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the book.
You got a great
really good stuff. Thank you. It's just he's one of my guys, man. Magic's one of my guys. And I had my best friend, Chris Cashman, growing up. We used to play one-on-one. But we wouldn't play one-on-one because he was a big Celtic fan. Yeah. And I was a Lakers fan. So this is where my first sportscasting came in. So we would play a different version of one-on-one where you could pass to yourself. But so I would start at the top of the key, and then you kind of pass it down low, and Magic it, and we literally call it. I'd say Magic at the top dribbling. He's going to dump it into Kareem, and then I'd run down in the post, catch my own pass, right, and try to throw up some type of sky hook, or I'd kick it out to Norm Nixon, or I'd kick it out to whomever. And we would do Jamal Wilkes and Worthy and what have you. And we do the play-by-play, and it just, I love doing play-by-play. And Magic was and watching the Celtics and the Lakers go at it. That was some of the best stuff ever. So,
and that was my biggest, I complain a lot about the NBA today. And again, we've talked about this. I think it's a horrible product. It's unwatchable. It's the business of it is just, it's disgusting to me. And I don't watch it, but man, my love of the NBA in the 80s, it rivaled my love of the NHL, my love of baseball, because it was such fun to watch, and that's what brought it back. Like Roland said, most are aware of the financial difficulties of the NBA back in the 70s, and it almost folded. I mean, people don't understand how close the NBA was to going away permanently. Bird and Magic are credited with saving the product, and then it turned into the Showtime Lakers and the rivalry with the Celtics and the Lakers.
Yes.
I've never been a big Lakers fan because, of course, the Dallas Mavericks got here in 1980. They met the Lakers in the 87 Western Conference Finals, and I was a big Mavericks fan, and the Lakers beat them in 7, and then the Mavericks didn't sniff the playoffs really again until the early aughts. But
yeah,
it's I appreciated the Showtime, and I love the history of it.
All right, but tell a little bit more of that story. I'm going to go grab this picture and show. I think people might be interested in this. Hold on.
Oh yeah. No, so the Lakers, for those of you that are younger, the Lakers and the Mavericks had somewhat of a rivalry there in the Western Conference in the late 80s. The Mavericks were pretty good as an expansion team in 1980 and had some great players. Rolando Blackman, Derek Harbor. A lot of people, Knicks fans, remember Derek Harbor from the finals, his days there. Yeah. And Roy Tarpley from Michigan. And look at that.
See if you can see it here. See, there's the magic. See that?
Look at that young JP right there.
Look at that hair, baby.
That hair, man.
That hair. Can you see the high school locker?
Yes. That's so funny.
Yeah, that was in Tallahassee. I believe the Lakers came through and did like an exhibition game.
That's funny.
I'm pretty sure that's where that is, because later that year, remember he played in the All-Star game, and down in Orlando. So we went down and we got tickets down there and watched him. Remember he took that shot from Steph Curry shot before Steph Curry shots hit that long three at the end. We thought at that time that would be the last time we'd see him play basketball.
Yeah. Because of the HIV situation.
HIV situation. There's people were like, oh, we can't be out there because what if he bleeds on someone and everybody else is going to get AIDS? It was crazy.
Well, and the understanding even then of HIV isn't what it is now. Like people were just unsure. Like you didn't know if you could get it from breathing on a guy, but you knew it was in the blood, and it was such a weird thing back then.
Yeah. Now we're knowing what we know now, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think we need one more break, right? One more break. Let's take one more break. We'll come back. We'll finish things up. I'll update the injury report for Bucs and Bills tonight, and remind you to head on down to the patio tonight to watch Bucs and Bills. That's where Bills Mafia hangs out. So Bucs fans, we need to overwhelm them tonight. So bring your Bucs jerseys. Head on down to the patio. Happy hour still in effect from 3 to 7:30. So get there early in pregame. $1 off all beer and wine. They're already low prices. And tomorrow night, it's the Halloween contest. I'll be judging it. $2,500 in cash and prizes. In cash, actually, no prizes. That's your prize. $1,500 to the winner. So come on out to the patio, and then college football on Saturday. And, of course, football on Sunday, all the NFL games at the patio, 421 South McDill. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we get ready for a big Thursday night at the patio. Come watch the Bolts and the Bucs and the Bills and all the fun and frivolity going on this weekend. We'll be there tomorrow night, by the way, 5 to 7 o'clock for our Friday happy hour. So come join us for that and get you ready for the weekend. We got some football on tomorrow night as well, some good college football, and all weekend long. So come join us, say hello at the patio on Friday.
Am I going to have to make the 20-hour drive or whatever it is from Dallas so I can come to hang out at the patio? This sounds fun.
You'll be there all weekend long. Hell yeah. Under the
stars. Is there a hotel
under
across the street or something?
No, we just sleep in the back. We got some couches back there.
All right.
Or just come stay at my house. You can do that too.
As long as it's close.
Yes. All right. Tonight, Vita Vea is questionable for the Buccaneers. Chase Edmonds will be activated off the knee injury. He's been practicing. I expect him to get some run tonight. Aaron Stinney will be in for Matt Filer at left guard. That's most likely an upgrade. Hopefully he will not relinquish that. I still don't know why Nick Leverett, who played that left guard last year, isn't playing now. We have heard he's working at center, so hopefully they're getting ready to bring him in at center instead of Hainsey, who's been awful this year. So we get Leverett at center and Stinney at left guard. I think that's replacing 2 of the weak links there. That might be a good move. But so far, from what I've heard, Hainsey is starting. Maybe they're getting ready in the mini bye week to bring Leverett in for Hainsey if he doesn't play better tonight. As far as the Bills go, Ed Oliver is questionable. Dawson Knox, their tight end, is out. Their top 2 tight ends are out. Oliver is out. We talked about Von Miller, who's been basically ineffective, right, Tim? You've been
I don't think he's 100% healthy yet. I cover the Bills for Sports Illustrated. They're one of the 10 NFL teams that I cover. But, he is back officially. But, man, his playing time is negligible. He is not effective on the defense, and I'm not real sure what's going on. I haven't heard anything really out of the Bills camp.
Yeah, so they've already lost Tre'Davious White. They're fine defensive back, and Matt Milano. They're the whole heart and soul of their defense. So it's an opportunity, for the Bucs to score some points tonight. They have struggled obviously against some of these really good defenses the past couple of weeks. The Eagles, the Lions, and even the Falcons. Those are 3 of the best defenses in the league. So numbers are down offensively, but this is an opportunity against a Bills defense that's depleted to make some hay tonight. So let's hope they can score some points and win this game. So we'll see tonight. It's kickoff on 8:15 on Amazon tonight. That's right?
Amazon Prime, if you have that. If you don't, sorry.
Yeah. There's
log into my account.
There's lots of different. Go down to the patio and watch it. That's a great place to do it. We'll have 75 freaking screens there. And don't be afraid of the Bills Mafia. All right, they're great fans. But that'll definitely add some energy to the place. So we'll overwhelm them with Buccaneers fans, and it's going to be a great vibe tonight at the patio. I'll be at Amalie Arena, though, doing my thing on the Jumbotron. And the Lightning coming off a really good win over Carolina, 3-0 on Tuesday night. So hopefully they'll get another 2 points. That'll be 7 out of 8 on this homestand, as they got a point against Toronto. Should be 8 out of 8, right? They should not have lost that 2-goal lead. So, Lightning, tough start a little bit, but they're getting back to it and win this game. And then who we got coming in on Monday? I forgot off the top of my head, but a chance to have a really, really nice homestand before they head out for a couple more divisional games. So going to be a big weekend here in Tampa Bay for college football. We'll all be watching that. FSU, if you missed the interview with Pat Burnham, go check that out. That was in our 10:45 segment, and Scott Carter was in our 11 o'clock segment. So great job, Tim. Appreciate you, my man.
Hey, real quick before you sign off, breaking news here. Google wants me to walk apparently to the patio in Tampa. It's 451 hours to walk from my house to their front door.
You might miss the game.
But weirdly, if you look at the map, when I map it out on the walking, they want me to walk all the way up to Memphis from Dallas and then walk down south. If I drive, it's only 17 and a half hours. And of course, I'm driving along the coast. It's really weird. I don't get Google sometimes.
Why would they wait you walk to Memphis?
Dude, I don't. So yeah,
you're walking in Memphis.
Walk into Memphis. There you go, through Little Rock and then Memphis and then down.
10
south.
feet off of Beale. Yeah,
so weird. I love that song, by the way.
Yeah, it is one of the best. Mark Cohn, fantastic.
Yep.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Go Bucs, go Bolts tonight, and we'll be paying attention to the Rays at the St. Pete City Council as well. We'll have plenty of content for tomorrow. That's for sure. Join myself and Nick Geddes tomorrow at 10 to 12 for a big show. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.